Well, hey guys, my name's John Thomas and I'm the Dreams Guy. Welcome to this week's episode. I have with me a friend, Jordan. Jordan, we've known each other for 7, 8 years, I think, at least. Yeah, forever. So we went to the same church together, and Jordan always has fun dreams. And so I wanted to have Jordan bring one of his dreams for this episode. So tell us about your dream. So you said you had it about last year?
Yeah, it was the end of last year. Just jump right into it. This was basically the dream. I was at a church that I used to attend, and the overarching theme was that Bill Johnson was coming, right? So he was there, but no one was there. Like the sanctuary was empty from where we're sitting. I could look outside the doors and I could see parking lot was completely empty. No one was there. So I'm the only one there. And I had the feel, I remember even now as I think about it, I can kind of recall the feeling. But I had the feeling that something was wrong. Like, this is not right. People are supposed to be here. But he got up on stage and just started teaching as if the room was packed. Like nothing was different, right? So then, and what he was teaching on was rejecting the spirit of fear. That was his message.
Ooh.
So I knew that, and that's why I felt so disturbed that no one else was there. It's like, people need to hear this. So anyways, so I'm sitting there just listening to him. I'm the only one in the room. He's going on as normal. And then in my lap, this booklet shows up in my lap. So I open it and try to describe this in the best way possible because it's just awkward. But there was a video thumbnail on the page. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's just crazy, right?
Yeah. In dream world, that makes sense. Nowhere else does that make sense.
So,
if we can develop that, we would be rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get that technology.
Exactly, right? So there's a video thumbnail on the page, with the little play button on it and everything. So I push play, and so Bill's going on, that continues on, but then there's this sub activity going on underneath it where it's a video of Roland, who's a mentor of mine,
Yeah, and he's a worship leader.
Yeah, and he's a worship leader.
For people that don't know who Roland is, he's an amazing worship leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a video of Roland with a worship couple that he is friends with. Now I asked him about this, so this is only in the dream, okay? So it's a worship couple that he's friends with, and he is with the two of them and their two younger daughters. And I remember they were two little blonde-headed girls. And he is singing a song to their daughters that he co-wrote with their parents about the preparation of the bride. And so I'm sitting there listening to this song the whole way through. It ends, I close the booklet, and then I go back to listening to Bill teach about rejecting the spirit of fear.
Now, when you're looking at that, was it it started where you were aware of both, and then you kind of go into that, and that was the whole thing, and then you're back into the room and you close it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's really fun, because that's basically a dream within a dream.
Yeah.
And that's very cool. So anything else? Was that the whole dream? How did the dream end?
Yeah, so it ended with me listening to it the whole way through, and then I close the booklet and I go back to listening to Bill teach, and then the dream closes out with him continuing to teach.
Okay. Wow. This is fun. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this back to you because there's a lot of details. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything that's important.
Uh-huh.
So in the dream, you're going to this church that you used to go to, and you're going because Bill Johnson's going to be speaking. And you get there, and Bill is there, but nobody else is there. Nobody else in the sanctuary. You can look out in the parking lot. There's nobody in the parking lot. And you're thinking, this isn't right. This is an important message. A church needs to hear this. Why is nobody else here? And Bill Johnson gets up and starts speaking like there's a full house. He's just doing his thing like he normally does. Mm-hmm. And he's speaking on rejecting the spirit of fear. Mm-hmm. And you're listening, thinking this is odd. Why is nobody else here? And while that's going on, you notice a booklet that has appeared on your lap while you're sitting there. And so you look at the booklet, and when you open it up, on one of the pages that you open up to, there's like a little video thumbnail with a little play button. And so you click the play button and you're watching, and it's a video of Roland, who's a worship leader and one of your mentors, and this other worship couple that in the dream he knows, but when you talk to him in waking life, he doesn't actually have relationship with them. Mm-hmm. And their two daughters, and Roland is singing a song to the two daughters that he had written with this couple, all about the preparation of the bride, preparing the bride of Christ for the coming of the Lord. And you watch the whole video, and it's kind of like you go into that, and that becomes the dream. Mm-hmm. And then as it ends, you're coming back out, you're back in the room, you close the booklet, and you give your attention back to the message, and you finish listening to the message, and then that's the end of the dream. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is basically an intercession dream. So there's some things to be praying for, and some keys. And so out of curiosity, the church that you were in, is it the church that you were basically first discipled in?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Which that would make a lot of sense, because what it's talking about is that just would represent the broad general church. So it's not about a specific church. Mm-hmm. It's about a broad general church. It might be specifically about a type of church, like that type of church. Like if they were a certain stream, if they were more word-based, more charismatic-based, what were they known for? It may have something to do with that, but I think it's more general in the meaning of it. And Bill Johnson would represent the move of the Spirit, welcoming the Spirit, letting the Spirit do what the Spirit does. So there's that revival flow, that sensitivity to the moving of the Spirit. And the message that he's bringing is rejecting the spirit of fear. Now, it's key. You just had this at the end of 2020, which is basically the year of fear in the world, where most of the world has been shut down by fear and is in fear of the virus that's been going around, and how do we handle that, and everything else that has been bringing up fear. So there's been a clear attack on the world by the spirit of fear. And what the Spirit is doing, the move of the Spirit right now, how the Spirit is moving, is rejecting the spirit of fear, but nobody's listening. Nobody's paying attention. There's only a remnant. There's only a few that are actually listening to this. Like the whole church needs to be listening to this message on how to not submit to fear, to reject the spirit of fear. But people just aren't showing up to hear the message. And so the first part of the intercession is that people would hear that message. The people would hear the message that they do not have to bow to fear, that they can reject the spirit of fear. And that is a key. Now, the dream within a dream. You're seeing a worship set about the preparation of the bride. Now, I know Roland, and I've said a number of times, Roland has an ability to shift atmospheres like very few worship leaders that I have ever met. He is, like, we talk about the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. Mm-hmm. This guy's a thermostat.
Yeah, for sure.
He will come in and open up. I mean, when I first started going to the church where he was leading, I'd come from a church where we'd worship for an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, and we'd hit these beautiful places, and he's 20 minutes into worship, he's hitting the places it would take us an hour to get to. And so there's something about that breakthrough in worship, but the key is the preparation of the bride. That this is a season right now where the bride is being prepared, but specifically the next generation needs to hear this. Those that have seen the move of the Spirit, that have been involved in the move of the Spirit, that know how to flow with the Spirit, need to be releasing the song of the Lord, the message of the Lord that He is releasing right now, which is, be prepared, Jesus is coming. There's an urgency on that preparation, and that preparation is what's underneath what's going on with rejecting the spirit of fear. Because that preparation, this rejecting of the spirit of the fear, of the spirit of fear, is the preparation of the bride for what Jesus wants to do. Now, I'm not saying the final coming, because there are comings of the Lord. I think the Lord is planning on visiting his church again. Like, there's something coming. And now you have two different people that are very well known for shifting atmospheres, bringing breakthrough, one in revival healing, one in joy and presence, that are both this message. So I think it has to do with that the revival flow, the presence of the Lord is coming. And the preparation for that coming that the next generation desperately needs to hear is that they do not have to submit to the spirit of the fear. And you have historically worked with children specifically as a children's pastor. So you've been in that preparation place, but there's also as the next generation, compared to Bill and Roland, which would both be in the generation above you, if you would. You're that next generation, and you're hearing this, recognizing this, to pray this in for your generation. That makes
good.
sense?
Yeah, that's good.
So what are your questions?
Whew, man.
You need to process it. Give me a second. Let me think about that.
Yeah. You honestly filled in all of the gaps in as I was piecing it together, or at least trying to, because I was really looking for a connection between those two, because I knew it flowed together, right? With listening to Bill, but then sounded like that reality kind of goes on pause or fades away into the background. And then I'm listening to this song. But even that, and then the details of the song, like, co-wrote it with their parents, and then he's singing it to them. Because what was interesting was that these were like tiny girls. These were not like, teenagers, or these were like toddlers.
Yeah, because the couple that was there, they were probably in their 30s, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like looking at them, just remembering, kind of the gist of what they looked like, in the dream. Yeah, 30s easily.
That's kind of how I pictured them when you said that. So
yeah.
And it's almost, so you got three generations.
Yeah.
You got Roland, you got this generation, and then the younger generation. But then, so that that's part of that generational issue, because it's the older generation that's speaking to the youngest generation, but because the middle generation has learned something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That piece, that draws in another layer to that.
Yeah. It's just so, and you're right. It was a timely dream, because it came at the end of last year. I guess like here in Texas, things kind of started easing up around that time, but overall there was still like, and even now, right, there's just this national, or international heaviness that's going on.
Yeah.
Spirit of fear is running rampant and stuff. And so, yeah, when I had that dream, I understood that part as much, because I knew what Bill was teaching about, but then seeing the absence and even that kind of came up in me of a lack of attention, distraction, or just being caught up in the spirit of the hour, of the age that's going on right now with, and in this case, it being fear. So, all of that was pieced together really, really well. Yeah. A lot of confirmation in that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think this is one of those things that God's speaking to you, but he's speaking to a lot of people and inviting. And there is right now in America specifically, there's an invitation that is astounding. I was just reading last week, Barna had put out, might have been the week before, but I think it was last week. Barna does all these surveys, and they figure out like what's actually going on, polls and that type of thing. And they've been working with the American Bible Society for since 2011. in looking at Bible engagement by Americans throughout the United States. And one of the things they found every single year, there's been a basic consistency, and it's actually there's been a slow decline, not actually as big of a decline as I would have thought over the last 10 years. But from 2020 to 2021 was the biggest increase in Bible engagement. The number of people that are reading the Bible, that say that the Bible is important, that say that the Bible is the Word of God, that are interested in the Bible and think of the Bible as having truth that they need for now, has increased significantly in the United States. And we are poised right now for one of the greatest evangelistic seasons if we will step into it. And it is related to biblical truth.
Wow.
And we're in that season. So there's a message, but the thing is, this is not necessarily people that are going to church, because a lot of them are not. They're not filling the seats. They're not in the parking lot. But we need to begin to not necessarily, I mean, we need to pray that they come to the church, yes, but we need to be the church and go to them as well. It's a both and. It's not an either or. It's never has been. But that both and, I think we're in a strategic season right now. And the message that the church should be bringing, that needs to be heard, that people aren't paying attention to, is freedom from fear. Yeah.
Wow.
So good, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Is it cool if I mention another
Sure.
dream?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's kind of like more of a has more of a personal context to it. This happened a number of years ago. I was in a gymnasium with a few people, none of whom I recognized, but anyways, but actually it starts out, I'm up on a balcony overlooking the basketball court in this gym. There's activity going on beneath, and I'm up over on the balcony overlooking, watching this with my mother, who at that point had passed away. Okay, so, and what was going on underneath us was this young lady just being really controlling, manipulative, telling people what to do, you know? So the scene switches from me just observing it to now I'm in the midst of it. So I go from just watching it to now I'm down on the floor with people, and we're all lined up against a wall, right? And so there's this moment where she's almost daring someone to step forward and challenge her. And so I just had this check, you know, on the inside of me that, hey, this is not good. Like, why are we doing this? What's going on? Why is no one standing up for this? This should not be happening, right? So I step forward, take her up on her challenge, and she looks at me and just laughs, as if like, you know, okay, we're gonna see like, oh, this is a challenge now, right? Like, we're gonna see like what's gonna happen next, and so I remember being aware of kind of like the shock and the gasps of people behind me, like, what is he doing? You know, kind of whispering to each other. And anyways, the dream ends with me stepping into this confrontation with this young woman.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you've got, I mean, you're in a situation where you're observing what's going on, and you're seeing that there's some unhealthy relational dynamics, specifically control and manipulation. But then you end up being in the middle of what's going on, and you're being affected by it personally. You're not just seeing it, but you're actually being affected by it. And there's a challenge whether or not you're actually going to stand up or not. And you found the courage to stand up to the manipulation. The dream doesn't have the resolution, like what happens, how does it end up at the end? But it's not about that. It's about saying that you have the courage to stand up. And when you see someone trying to bully other people, manipulate people to get their way, and not being a team player, that you should have the courage to stand up and say, that's just not right. And let the cards lay where they lay when that happens.
Yeah. Very straightforward, because like I said, it wasn't a long dream. It was very simple, very short, like to the point, basically those two short, simple scenes going on, and just one just piggybacked off of the next.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was really good. Thank
Cool.
you for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you haven't already seen that situation, when you do see that situation, stand up.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to stand up
Yeah.
and say, no, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And other people may not have the courage to do it, but you do.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, thanks for coming, man.
No, thanks for having me.
Appreciate
It's been fun.
It's been great. Guys, thanks for joining us for this episode of The Dreams Guy. I'm John Thomas, and we'll see you next time.